Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Max Flinders. Make sure you go to MotoAmerica YouTube channel and subscribe, comment, like. If you see me, definitely put a thumbs up.
Welcome everyone to MotoAmerica Championship at Virginia. It's race day. It's time for racing. We're done with practice. We're done with qualifying. We've got 5 races ahead. Kicking off with the MotoAmerica Stock 1000, the first race of 2 this weekend here in Alton, Virginia. The fans are out. And look at the heat working its way off the tarmac and across. It's been low to mid 80s. It's going to get up to 90, 95. Bring your sunscreen. You can get some at the merch stand. They sell MotoAmerica sunscreen, believe it or not. It's going to be a toasty one. Drink plenty of water. The first of 5 races we'll be seeing today are the Stock 1000. Let's take a look back just a few weeks ago at Road Atlanta, the first of 9 stops this year, and the 99 of Jeff May. He was the guy. He looked like he was the one to beat on that brand new Honda.
Yeah, definitely impressive. Jeff May was at Atlanta. You can see him looking down, starting to have a couple issues with electronics. And Michael Gilbert came out and got the race, won the first race, and was pretty strong the next day. And the second day was all about Travis Wyman.
T-Dub with a #1 position for the points, and the victory goes to him. And look at them pumping those fists, or pumping that fist, and getting ready to head into round number 2, or stop number 2. They've already had their second round. Look at that, 41 points. That's a good week. That's a way to kick off your year. Ashton Yates, again, finally on that Honda that we looked for all last year. He finally gets it, and look what he does.
Double podium at Road Atlanta, so he's got to be excited with that. But been a little bit off this weekend compared to the other guys, but you know, the race is coming up, and I think he can step up.
That was the big surprise right there. Corey Alexander, 28 points a rear. It was last year's 2-time winner at Atlanta. Didn't make it near the top at the last round, but look for him here. He's had his difficulties. Hopefully he's got that out of the way, and he's ready to go this year.
And he's been a lot quicker this weekend. They got the new Kawasaki, which they've kind of struggled with a little bit, and it looks like they get that sorted out a little better, and he's been a lot quicker this weekend than he was at Road Atlanta.
You see the flags being waved now, and it's time for the guys to go out there for their siding lap. This is going to be a 14-lap adventure, and I talked about with the fans having to deal with the heat and stuff and wear the sunscreen and all. These guys can't get away from it. They're going to be on that bike for a long time. The Stock 1000 is going out for that first time. It's only going to get hotter as the day goes on. So how are they going to deal with it? If they've been waiting to drink water, they are way, way late. Let's take a look at the track here in Alton.
Yeah, one of the places to watch for is turn 1. You'll see a lot of guys try to outbrake each other getting into turn 1. We've seen a lot of guys have some issues there. And then from there, turn 4, 5, 6, a nice twisty little area. Turn 7, corner with a lot of camber, and then you get to turn 8, and all the way flows all the way up to turn 14, and then you head down the last section of the track, which is really important. The last corner is a really fast right-hander. Trying to get that drive on the straightaway is really important, so you'll see a lot of guys wheeling out of that corner, rear end moving around, just trying to get the power to the ground.
And that's your Yamaha track map. When I was talking to Josh Hayes a little while ago, he was talking about certain portions of this course. He said some of the most physical turns that you'll see all year long.
This track is one of the most physical tracks that we go to, not only because of the heat, but there's not really a long straightaway to take a breath. Even though we have the front straightaway, it's really not that long before you're into the kink.
Right.
And then turn 1's right there, and you're just always fighting the bike. I mean, you see these guys on the warm-up lap here just constantly changing direction. So this track is gonna wear these boys out, and hopefully they come in prepared. And if you're not, I think it's gonna show up this week.
It's gonna be a long day, but their day is about to be done because they're not gonna get a second chance at it this afternoon. This is their, well, actually these guys will. Let's talk about that. The Stock 1000s. How in shape do you have to be? Because they're not only racing the Stock 1000, we'll see a predominance of this, these competitors later in the Superbike Cup racing against Honda Superbikes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing for them that they get the extra track time, but then there's a bad side of it is, you're getting double the laps, so you're putting in double the work, you're sweating that much more, and just got to be in that much better shape.
It's going to be a long day. It's going to be a toasty day, and our man on the scene down there trackside in the pits, Jason Wigan, welcome to MotoAmerica. Welcome to the road racing side of things.
Oh, it's great, and it is hot. You're not joking. Oh, yesterday it almost got to this point. I'd say already pretty early in our day, it's warmer than it was at any point yesterday. So we're going to see how that affects the bikes, the tires, the bike setup, and the riders from a physical standpoint, as you said. As far as this stock 1000 class is concerned, the man they're chasing is Travis Wyman, who got the win in the second race in Atlanta and was strong in the first race as well. So here's your points leader, and he expected that. He spent most of last year trying to perfect that BMW motorcycle. He said speed wasn't a problem. They were just working on avoiding the little teething problems and durability issues. He felt that once they got that motorcycle to the point where it could run at its optimum for every lap, he would start winning races. That's exactly what happened in Atlanta, and he likes this track as well. So his goal, win early, get a big points lead, while everyone else is sorting out their new machines, because he already did that last year. But there's a pretty hungry pack. The deepest field of riders from a numbers standpoint is in stock 1000, so it's certainly not going to be easy for him to continue that momentum that he had from round one.
Thanks a lot, Jason. And all of these guys are getting a clean slate for this weekend. No matter what has happened during practice or qualifying, you could be the #1 qualifier, Jake Lewis, or you could be the #5 qualifier, Travis Wyman. You got a shot at winning this race, but the parity in this class is unbelievable, Roger. And I'm not kidding. There's 7 to 10 riders that can win this race today, and you very rarely see that in racing.
We have the top 8 guys are all within 1 second, and even if you look past, Jake Lewis kind of has almost 4 tenths to second. If you look from second to 8th, it's only like 3 tenths, so
right.
It's definitely a lot of these guys are really close.
As you look at that field there, a tremendous amount of riders, 36 to be exact. Let's take a look at our Cardo starting grid with Jake Lewis on top. Since they're making that sweeping right-hand turn, the outside, the left side will be the pole position. Alexander and May next to him, Danilo Lewis on the inside of row 2 there. As we work our way, find your favorite rider. You have a multi-time champion in Andrew Lee going to start in the middle of that third row. Haven't heard much of Andrew Lee, but this might be the time we hear Andrew back up near the front.
Yeah, this weekend he's been a lot closer than he was Atlanta.
Yep.
His deal came together late, and he's right there. And I think once the race starts, he'll be able to find the speed and run with the leaders.
There's Peanut and Ed Brown, number 17 on row 6. Got to look for. Joe Giannato just in front of him. Again, this class also is you work your way through the field, 36th. They're eventually going to come into lap traffic. You hope it's never a factor, but looking at all the numbers of riders, and this is not the widest track that we go to. This is one of our fairly, narrow ones.
This track is really tough to pass on, even when you're lapping somebody. We talk about it being so tight. It's hard to. You really have to be aggressive, and with all these guys in this class, it's going to come down to some lap traffic at the end of the race, and it's going to be, it's definitely going to come into play, and it's always a coin toss. Sometimes it helps you, sometimes it hurts.
So again, tight point differential, 5-6 points between our top 3 riders in the championship. You throw in Jeff May, who's on a new Honda as well. He had some technical issues with that. The electronics didn't quite work right on his bike. He's going to be starting on that front row. But at Atlanta, each time we saw him get the whole shot. He was out in front of both of those races. The big question is, can he stay out in front if he gets that start today on that Vision Wheels Honda? And
this track is a track where you would need electronics a lot, with so much, places trying to keep the front wheel down and traction. And so, hopefully he can get a little bit of that sorted out. But if not, it's gonna be tough for him.
When you talk about the electronics, you talk about how the engine is limited in the power in certain areas for these bikes, or overall power, and there's something going to be looking for. Look like I saw some people missing on the grid there.
I think Danilo Lewis might be missing. I'm not 100% sure, but he had that crash toward the end of qualifying too, and looked like his bike took a pretty big hit, so I'm not sure if they made the repairs quick enough to get back into the race.
These guys, you see the MotoAmerica officials out there trying to make sure everybody is lined up in the right spot. Green flag in the back means that everything is clear, so the chase car and everything else is all good. When the lights go out, it's time to go. Great start by Jake Lewis. But look, right there on the inside, Alexander, he's going to have position on Lewis. The 23's got a good jump. Now what do you do if you're Jeff May on that very inside? You back down is what you do if you're on that Honda, but he looks like he's moved into second. Jeff May in the 99 still battling out with Lewis. Now Lewis goes to the inside. The 85 Altus Motorsports, that's the bike that won the championship last year with Cam Peterson on it.
And also, he's was off last year, so he rode Atlanta the second race. He really started coming into his old form, was fighting for the podium, made that mistake in turn 7 and lost a lot of ground. But you see Corey Alexander right now with his head down trying to break away.
Look at the names up near the front. Corey Alexander, you've got Jake Lewis, Michael Gilbert, Jeff May, not necessarily in that order, Travis Wyman. It is a who's who. Andrew Lee, the 14 up there in 7th, it looks like, 6th or 7th.
Also, I think Stefano Mesa might not have made the race either because of his crash this morning.
Yeah, I do not see him on the starting grid here, and yeah, he
as well as Ashton Yates.
And
I'm not sure what looks like he might have was either late to the grid, but he wasn't in his normal grid spot.
Yeah, and it showed him 19th. So that must have been where they put him, or whenever he came across that first time around. Because as far as qualifying goes, where was Yates? He was 7th fastest in combined qualifying on the Jones Honda. So that's a tough road to hoe. If you're second in championship points, you're having to start in the back of the field. You're talking about the Corey Alexander, the 23 Kawasaki, the Hudson Valley Motorsports entry. Looks like he might want to check out. If you're Jake Lewis, if he does do that, you need to go ahead and kind of reel him back in again, because you cannot let the guys get away here.
No, these guys are so close in lap times. I think if you let a guy get away, you're not going to early. It's going to be hard to reel him back in, and you can kind of see. Looks like now that the top 4 guys are starting to bunch up a little bit, and the surprise for me a little bit is Travis Wyman has been so fast all weekend, and it just looks like he didn't get a very good start, and it's kind of taking him a minute to come through.
You see the 85 and Jake Lewis starting to close in a little bit more now on Corey Alexander. Again, Jake rode a few races last year, 1 or 2 races on a part-time basis, but now back to full-time racing. Looks like Lewis might have lost something here on that last lap. Let's take a look at the second bike of the picture. What does it look like?
Not sure if it's a knee puck or watch it hit Travis Wyman on the
off of the windscreen. That's why you got him. Also caught Michael Gilbert for a moment there as well. Hopefully it was a piece of soft plastic, but even soft plastic going 70 miles an hour hurts if it hits you in the right spot.
Well, also if it's a knee puck, it's going to be
difficult to ride the rest of the race. Now, if that is the case, our camera crew does a great job. I know they'll try and zoom in, and I know you've got good eyes. I'm too old for that. How does that affect you if it is a knee puck, and how does that it affect your racing?
Well, you just can't lean over as far. Like
you can't feel it.
You can't feel it, and really, what you'll do is you'll burn a hole in your leathers, and or you might not just put your knee all the way on the ground. But it looks like he's not having an issue right now, so maybe it was something else that fell off the bike, or even like a toe slider off the boot.
Okay, that may be what we're looking at. Yeah, we were trying to look at both of those sliders. It looks like he has them on again. We've seen riders do well without them, but it's just something mentally you want to have there, that little piece of protection that you can feel where that asphalt is. Top 4 really bunched up tight here.
And they're really pushing. The top 4 guys are all under the previous racetrack record.
Here in these first couple of laps.
On the first lap, so they're definitely pushing pretty hard.
Well, we saw earlier that Ashton Yates, it didn't look like he was in his original spot, and he would have to work his way up their field. What was going on there, Jason Wygant?
It's pretty simple. They were just late. By the time they got here, the gate was closed, so they made them start in the back. They didn't have any problems with the bike. They weren't scrambling or anything. They just came from the other side of pit lane and didn't make it before the gate was closed. So he had to start in the back, although he's moved up pretty quickly already.
Yeah, and that last time around, the 22 was in 9th place. He picked off about 9 positions. That's something you can't do. Not at this level. How many times have you missed the starting gate, Roger?
I haven't.
You've never done it, right? I mean, that's just something that doesn't happen. We've seen it in Junior Cup with Rocco Landers. It looks like one rider down. He's all right walking over towards
like
the
Jason Waters maybe
air fence, and that was in that final turn. So he was cooking it pretty good if he went off there. Those Bison Leathers doing their job. 1, 2, 3, and 4 pretty tight. I don't know what's going on with Wyman, as you mentioned. Lee back there in 5th, but these 4, and you know what? Jeff May looks like he's into 2nd now. I don't know he's riding conservative, but he's not out there pushing so hard that he's probably eating up that tire, is he? Oh, now another
Hunter
one down.
Dunham.
That's Hunter Dunham. And he was in 7th that last lap around.
He was having a good race. He's been going well all weekend. You know, had that big injury last year at the Ridge, and kind of looked like he was starting to kind of find his form again.
Unfortunate for Hunter Dunham, and he qualified, I think, 10th, so he'd worked his way up a few positions. That's everything you want to do if you have a so-so qualifying spot. Top 10 in qualifying in Stock 1000 is still doing pretty darn good. There's some studs in this class, including Corey Alexander in front, the 23 Hudson Valley Motorsports, coming down that front straightaway. They get their pit boards out, and they let you know what your advantage is. He can get a 0.0 because he is all over him. Look at this, Jeff May going to the inside. I don't think he's trying to make a pass there. He's just kind of letting him know he's there.
Jeff May was talking about Atlanta, how he burned up his tire at the beginning of the race. Maybe this race, it looks like he's maybe trying to be a little bit more patient.
That's what I thought.
And not try to break away at the front, so he has the grip on the exit.
There's Hunter Dunham at the tail end. That's coming down the front straight?
No, that's turn 5.
Turn 5. Well, way down there. Man, I've lost my bearings. And that's it looks like he's okay. He slid to safety, and you can see the frustration in his face. You're right, and that's what I was looking at. Even though he'd worked up to 2nd, it didn't look like he's really just cooking it. He's not just trying to go out there and I'm going to check out and see if I can hold on. He needs a little bit more of that bike left at the end of the race, and a little more of that tire, rather. We didn't know if it was clutch, anything. We could just tell he wasn't going as fast as he could have been going.
Ashton Yates is making the bummer for him is his lap times are pretty quick. Already starting in the back and working his way all the way up to looks like 7th place now.
He has a new objective, though, wouldn't you say? I mean, if he can catch up to that pair that's in front of him.
Oh, and he ran off again in 14.
That's the announcer's jinx you just did to him. Oh, man.
That's kind of that's one of those things where you kind of make a mistake beginning of the race. You try to force the issue and kind of make another one.
He's got to be careful. All that green grass doesn't want to go down. The Dunlop known for their motocross riding, but not on these full-on slicks. And he's got to make up a ton of ground. And each time we see Jeff May on that red Honda, the Vision Wheels Honda, going underneath that time, is he trying to see what he can do? Not necessarily make a pass this time, but just see what he can do?
Sometimes it's just a little bit more comfort whenever you're braking, when you're that close to somebody, just to be a little bit offset so you don't have to worry about getting into the back of them.
Yeah, especially that turn where we saw a lot of difficulty, a lot of people running wide and going off the track in turn 1. If you're Jake Lewis, does that also give you an opportunity to maybe set up? If every time he goes underneath, a drastic inside line, maybe he goes wide.
Well, if, maybe Jeff May actually does go for the pass, gets in a little deep and runs them both wide, he could capitalize.
Little giddy-up action there and do the twofer. Look at Michael Gilbert just sitting back there watching. I've seen him do it here. I've seen him do it here at this track. Gibby being patient. I know he works with Jason Pridmore, and I'm sure that's probably part of that discussion. If Jason were talking to him, if this were a rider that you were helping out, what would you say to Michael Gilbert back there in 4th? Because you're keeping the leader's pace, yet you're letting them dictate that pace.
I would, say kind of like what he did at Atlanta. This kind of looks like what he did at Atlanta, kind of hung on, and then toward the end of the race kind of made his push. But, I think he would like to be a little bit closer than he is right now. But he's in a perfect spot. If a mistake's happen in front of him, looks like he's kind of a little quicker than these guys the last couple laps that bring him in a 10th a lap. Looks like Jake Lewis is going to go for the dub.
He got one, and now he went inside.
Did he run wide, though?
Oh, yeah, I think so. May had to stand it up just a little bit, and you had that feeling that something was eventually going to happen. Again, Jake Lewis wasn't in the series full-time last year. He was in MotoAmerica the year before last, riding the Superbike class. Now he's in the Stock 1000. Similar bike, just not all the technology, not all the horsepower that he was used to a couple of years ago. He's been knocking off the rust. And having those finishes that we saw at Road Atlanta, you could see he was kind of pleased. He wanted to do better, but he was doing all right, Yeah,
he was right there. And I think for, a guy that didn't have a ride for a year and set out, you have to be rusty a little bit and kind of use Road Atlanta to get a good base, get some points, and then now looks like he's trying to, start really forcing the issue.
2/4, much better than the 6th, I think we got, and a 13th out of Corey Alexander, who's just in front. So, yeah, just off the podium both times for the Altus Motorsports Suzuki and Jake Lewis.
And both of these top 2 guys, they got some points to make up. They need to win this race. Corey had the the jump start, stop and go, or ride through penalty, and really hurt his second race.
Was he the one that did it twice? Didn't he get a jump start? Jump start, they penalized him, and then he went through pit lane too fast, and they penalized him again. So that's what cost him there. Okay, there's that battle earlier we were talking about. If Ashton Yates could just catch up to these two, those guys are Travis Wyman, Andrew Lee. We're used to seeing, last year before last, we'd see Wyman, Lee, Gilbert back and forth the entire time, and they're losing touch to those front four. I think I saw a great save out of Travis Wyman here 2 years ago. It was like one of my saves of the year, if I remember correctly. But that Franklin Armory Kawasaki, good to see it back again. That was a bike that was an absolute stalker just a couple of weeks ago. Andrew Lee's not lacking of talent. I mean, he's a multi-time champion in this class. His goal was to move up into Honda Superbike, but the funding just wasn't there, Roger.
And that way, thought he was going to go Superbike racing, was trying to put everything together to make that jump, and then it didn't come. It didn't work out, so then he decides to do super stock, and then he makes it late, decides to do it late, and it just kind of puts you behind the 8 ball, especially with the Kawasaki's an all-new bike, and other guys got to ride their stuff before the season started, and he didn't.
Lap 8 of 14, there's 7 more to go here. As a quick look around, that time by Jeff May, Vision Wheels Honda. You talk about not getting that ride. The guy that rode that bike last year, the 85, that yellow and blue Altus Motorsports bike, did get the Honda Superbike ride in the M4 X-Star Suzuki, Cam Peterson. So we did see where Andrew Lee didn't go from Stock 1000 champion to Honda Superbike. We did see Cam Peterson this year make that move up and be successful in his first weekend.
And we see this race here. Jake is really good in this first sector. Looks like he can kind of close up a little bit, but it's that third sector where Corey kind of pulls that gap, and then Jake kind of makes it all back up on the brakes going into turn 1 in the first sector.
It's an accordion, so he needs to make it happen on that front straight. Like we saw him make the move on Jeff May, will we see it happen with Corey Alexander? And here's the twist and turns, the back and forth, need that strength. And Jake, said he's starting to get that fitness back, and you live down the road from him in Kentucky. I mean, he's always a racer at heart, but having the physical stamina to go out there and do so, he's having to work back into it. Looking back at the 22, he worked his way up to, I thought, around 7th or 8th, but Ashton Yates dropped back. Now he's back up to 10th spot, so he's still trying to salvage points. That would be 6 points for him.
For all the things that's happened in this race, I mean, get 10th place points is, not too bad, really. I mean, it's not what you want. Obviously, you're going to lose a lot of points, but it could be a lot worse.
He'd be the leader if we had passing points. He seems like he's passed more people, but unfortunately he's went past them, let them by, and went past them again. There we go on the inside. Lewis trying to stick at least that bike halfway up the side of the Kawasaki of Alexander. Not able to do so. You see May kind of taking some notes as well. He's hoping to get that twofer like you mentioned with Lewis. There you go to the inside. And
now can he hold the line?
That's when you slow down and make him come to a stop, don't you, Roger?
Kind of like a block pass.
Yes, absolutely. And taking over the lead now is Jake Lewis. Altus Motorsports Suzuki. We've got the Suzuki in front of the Kawasaki, the Hudson Valley Kawasaki, and then you have the Vision Wheels Honda in third.
You can still see Michael Gilbert trying to hang on.
And he also sees if one of these guys decide to take each other out or, run them off track, he's going to be able to pounce on that as well. Michael Gilbert Racing, 55 back there, about a second behind. Let's take a look at that lead, pass for the lead one more time. And again, it's not just getting position, it's holding position. And Jake Lewis, when he got by, he didn't have to go as fast as that turn as long as he held the spot.
And you can just see right here, he's already setting him up. See how he was wider in that first left-hander? But the thing is, you can't go in. You got to really get it stopped so Corey can't drive it back under you.
You saw Corey let go with that front brake and want to drive and go back underneath, but it just wasn't there. And now you're seeing Corey trying to go to that inside a little bit. And if Grant Langston, a former world motocross champion, told me so many times, his dad used to tell him, you're not going to make passes following somebody. Even though you're in third, you see Jeff May taking a totally different line than those other guys.
And now we're running into the lappers.
Now it's going to get fun. And now this might play into Michael Gilbert's strategy as well.
He's going to need it because he's kind of, you can
ground.
see he's losing ground to the top three.
those three could come back to him here very quickly, because you said it's hard to pass this track, and that's not just passing riders at your speed. What do you do when you come up on somebody that you're going much faster than? And there it is. You see the distance for Gilbert, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see Jake get to get his win. You know, last year setting out the year was really disappointing for him. It wasn't his choice to set out. It wasn't like he was wanting to take a year off. It was just the way, you know, a couple teams came together, and you know, when the rides were handed out, he kind of got left out. So he was trying to find rides all last year. He did a couple one-off rides and did some endurance racing and worked hard to try to, you know, make a lot of phone calls to get back in the paddock, and it's good to see him back. And I think, you know, I've told you this before, I think he kind of wants to do what Cam Peterson did last year, come into this class and win a lot of races and kind of dominate, and then hopefully if a seat opens, you know, in Superbike,
show that you still got it, right? I mean, he had that ride. He was on M4 XR Suzuki a couple years ago, and it honestly, it wasn't his best year. He still got the talent. There's no doubt he's fast. His body size, he's bigger than I think. He's
podium Superbike races on you know, super stock bike.
Right. Yeah, and that's you're talking about the highly modified class on a super stock or a stock 1000 like you're seeing right now. And I think not only does he need to win races here, he needs to do like Cam Peterson does this year.
Corey just made a mistake.
He almost ran off there. Look at how much he's pushed it to the exit.
And you can see Jake's really got his head down the last lap. They were kind of a couple laps ago in the mid 27s. He's kind of brought it back down to the lower 27s. Just did his personal best first sector. So you can see 3 laps to go. He's trying to make the break.
Do you wish it were like NASCAR or IndyCar where you have the inter-ear communication and can hear for your pit lane, or are you okay with just having the board stuck out on the front straight?
I'm okay with just the board. For one, if somebody came in your ear right now when you're on the brakes, it's probably going to spook you a little bit.
It's almost like you practicing right now to be a broadcaster. Somebody talking to you while you're talking. It's not fun, is it, at times? No offense, Rich, our producer. Look at the gap now on fourth. Michael Gilbert.
Look at the gap Jake's made.
Yeah, he's lost it. Jake, he just pulled a purple sector too. Yeah, he's cooking now, and he needed that gap because it depends on how he's catching these lappers just in front of him. He's got to catch them at the right time, and he can really take advantage if he does.
He just did a 26.5. That's an outright, not even race record, but also the outright track record.
But where he comes up on these lap riders is going to be pivotal. And it's not the best spot right here.
His pit board said +1, so he knows, you know, you want to be aggressive, but you don't want to be, you know, you don't want to really get into one and then let Corey catch up, but you also can't wait too long.
Look at that spot right there. How he knew he had to take advantage right then at that time, or else he would get stuck by that
rider. You're not going to pass a lapper through there.
And look what Corey's dealing with. Corey is now at a disadvantage because he wasn't able to get by, and he's still not by.
It actually worked out kind of dead even. Their first sector was exactly the same. But Jake's...
I sure thought that Corey Alexander had to try extra hard doing it. I mean, it looked like he was fighting. William Richardson, I don't know if he had some horsepower or what, but he kept him off on that straightaway for the longest time. And now you have to know that the rider's on the inside of you. In this particular racing, don't see much blue flag. You know, Supercross, they always let you know that the leaders are coming up with a blue flag. Not here necessarily, right?
No, we have blue flags.
But you don't see it that much and/or as often.
They try to. The corner workers try to do the best that they can.
Well, there's the front straight in the pit box, or the flagging station with 1 lap to go. The white flag's coming out. We're on the last lap. And he has a wall in front of him now. That being Jake Lewis on the Alta Suzuki. He gets 1. But the other rider, now he's having to deal with rides around him, and that is going to help him out working through these sections. Corey Alexander's going to dive underneath.
Corey's going to catch a guy right in this same spot, 4 or 5 area. It's just so hard to make a pass through here.
And the thing is, he wanted to drive around the outside, but he doesn't know what that guy's going to do, Raj. And now he just puts that Hudson Valley horsepower down to the ground. That definitely affected him.
It did. He lost almost a half a second.
Now they go into 7 and up. Now the upper portion of the course.
Right now, where you talk about having the communication, it would be maybe nice to know now, hey, you have a little bit of a gap. You don't have to force the issue quite as much on these 2 guys.
Because, again, he's closing up big time, goes underneath. That rider says, oh, where did you come from?
He's not going to risk it, though.
No, and shouldn't. Typically going into the last turn, you want to go low, run it wide to keep somebody from going underneath you. But look right there, he's going much slower. He's taking his time getting around that inside sweeping right-hand turn. Welcome back, Jake the Snake coming down the front straightaway, and Altus Motorsports coming across the stripe, giving him the extra chicken wing, and the checkered flag goes to Jake Lewis, his first win here in Stock 1000 of 2021. Has to feel good, Roger.
Has to be really good. And also, I said at the beginning of the race, he broke the outright track record. I was wrong. It was just the race record that he broke. So
Ashton Yates looks like he's going to be in 10th. Either way, he's breaking a personal record because he won for the first time this year. That's secondary. He can maybe get that one tomorrow, right, Roger? And Ashton, after the up and down day, does take the checkered in 10th, just behind Joe Giannotto and Wyatt Ferris. Max Girardo was 7th, Andrew Lee 6th. Wow, what a run! And we said at the top of the show, it's a long track, 2.25 miles. But when you have 36 guys and now they pull over to that inside, nothing left of that Dunlop.
Well, he can't do too much of a burnout. He's got to use that bike in the Superbike race later. So
yeah, don't want to hurt the motor.
Save a little bit of it.
Don't want to hurt the motor or the clutch for that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have big, beefy clutches in these things. Good to see Corey Alexander back. He looked like he was back on full tilt today, though, didn't he?
And even with the lappers, they kind of went back and forth. Corey actually kept trying to fight through as much as possible, never gave up.
Pivotal turn here, a little block pass move, Raj.
Yeah, just set it up the corner before it was a little bit wider and dove under and just took the line and really got it stopped in the middle of the corner where Corey couldn't bring it back under him.
Altus Motorsports knows how to pick them in this Stock 1000. Again, Cam Peterson on that bike winning the Stock 1000 title last year and was the dominant bike and rider. And now you're seeing Jake Lewis do the same thing this year with his first victory. And remember, Lewis came into this championship after a couple of fourth-place finishes. He was 5th in total points. We know Ashton Yates is going to drop back. He was 2nd in points, but after the 10th place finish, Travis Wyman with the 5th place finish. I know we usually show you our race results. We're going to show you the points as well. I'm curious to see just how close.
It's going to be really tough.
I'm curious to see how close it's going to be for Jake Lewis. Speaking of, let's take a look at our Geico results. There's that Jake smile we're used to seeing. Altus Motorsports, Suzuki GSX-R 1000 on top. You know those guys, Gilbert did lose ground a little bit. Wyman and Lee, they stayed the same in the 5th or 6th. Fights and battles throughout. And that's the one thing. Ashton Yates is pushing so hard to make up that starting line deficit. See if he can do better tomorrow. Really not much excuse unless there was a mechanical or something that kept him from getting to the line. Not at this level, and a guy, especially a racing family like that, I'm sure there's going to be some discussion back in the paddock. Most of the time they're trying to find reasons saying, hey, I was here, I was on time. No, the field's gone, we closed the gate. Walt Simp in 32nd, Mike Boyce. Actually, it did not get started. I believe they went down yesterday. Walt wasn't able to make it this weekend.
Jake's
Boyce
mom there.
went back, yeah.
His sister's here this weekend, too.
Have Mama Snake. Little family photo time.
Yeah, and it's really cool, too, because a couple years ago before this race, Jake lost his dad before this race, so it's kind of cool to come here this year and get a win.
You know, it may not be the Hono Superbike class that we saw him in a couple of years ago, but that feel of winning once again, I'm sure even, you know, he's going to feel it emotionally, as you mentioned, you know, with his dad. It holds a little special place, but finally getting back on top of that box, nothing beats winning. And
also, I mean, not racing for a year, you probably question yourself, do I still have the speed? But you know, I think deep down he knows that he didn't lose the speed. He was just really trying to need an opportunity to show that what he could do, you know, that the talent with Jake has never really been the question. So everybody knows how fast he can be, and this year he's getting an opportunity again to show that, and he's trying to make the most of it.
Let's go down to Jason Wigan on our victory podium.
Well, any victory in MotoAmerica is big, but this one is an exceptionally large one. Jake Lewis, you said when you got signed by this team, you thought your road racing career was over. You're not only back, you're a winner again.
Yeah, man, this feels amazing. Honestly, I think I haven't won a road race since 2017, so it means a lot to me, and especially on today, you know, I was really close with Nicky and Roger, so it means a lot to be wearing the Nicky helmet and get it done here today. And it was a hell of a race with Corey and Jeff. You know, we were the pace was hot, and it's all hot out here, so the tire management was key, and it was like flat tracking out there. And man, I can't give a big enough thanks to George and Jeanette and Asani and from Altus Motorsports for giving me this opportunity to come back to the paddock and show the talent that I have. You know, it honestly sucked last year sitting on the couch. As you can tell, it means a hell of a lot to me. Last year was kind of depressing being away from racing and gained 20 pounds, drinking a lot of beer, and got a hell of a lot of motivation right now to keep winning, and that's what we're here to do. So a big thank you to Eric, my crew chief, for dialing in the bike, my mechanics Sean, Victor for working their butt off on the bike, Ben Fox and the whole M4 team and Team Hammer for helping dial in the bike. You know, we struggled a little bit at round one, but this weekend we made a lot of progress. And a big thank you to Rye Helmets, Cortec Leathers, one of my personal sponsors, Rockloon International, and Service Tools and Plastics. Thank you very much.
All right, congratulations, making his second chance, maybe his best chance. Our winner, Jake Lewis.
Gained 20 pounds on that beer plan. Sounded like he was a Josh Herod fan program starter club, and you see that pass for the lead there and taking that victory. And yeah, it's been a while for Jake Lewis, and he mentioned, and I want to point out, and he mentioned, I know you're getting hammered for text messages. Today is the day that Nicky Hayden did pass away, so that's what he was referring to. I didn't want to bring it up with you, Roger, but everybody's thinking about you and your family this weekend.
Thank you.
Let's go back down to Jason Wigan.
Well, a much big improved performance, but he would like a 1 instead of a 2, and he did lead a long way. Corey Alexander, you got to lead for a while. It was hot out there. Was the track changing, and what were the final laps like?
Last few laps were hectic there. There was a lot of lap traffic, and I kind of had that planned out. I thought maybe I could just kind of tag in behind Jake and wait for some traffic and then make a move then. And it was just too many guys that we got kind of caught up, and those last 2 laps were pretty slow. But yeah, at the beginning of the race, I knew if we put our head down on a good tire, maybe we could split away, me and Jake. I knew we had a good split in that second segment, and we kept looking at everybody's boards on the front straightaway, and it was just +0, +0, +0 all the way back to like 5th or 6th. I'm like, it's not going to be easy. So. You know, I really have to give a big hats off to Graves Motorsports, Hudson Valley Motorcycles, Honos, everybody. Atlanta was about as bad of a weekend as it gets, and my guys had to rebuild a whole new bike from the ground up. So they were here till about 3 a.m. on Thursday night, just working to get us a bike built, and we made a lot of progress from Atlanta, obviously, and I worked on my starts, not making that mistake again. But yeah, I just have to thank all my sponsors, Alpine Stars Leathers, Rye Helmets, Iconic Prestige Services Group, Hudson Valley Motorcycles, of course, Chuckwalla Valley Raceway. I don't know if you guys saw, they just announced a big purse, so head out there this winter. New Rage Cycles, Maxima Racing Oils. There's just so many people that help us out. You know, it's a small effort, but we got a big presence, and it's a lot of work, but this is why it pays off. And I just want to dedicate this race to a family friend, Nordic. He's battling cancer right now, and you know, just my thoughts are with him. And stay strong, buddy. Thanks, guys.
All right. Inspirational stories all around in one of the deepest classes here, and it certainly is delivering some good racing for the win.
Thanks, Jason. Strong results for that Honos Hudson Valley Kawasaki of Corey Alexander, and he had a shot at winning that race. He thought the lap riders might have worked in his advantage. It actually might have hurt him just a little bit there towards the end. But again, those top 3 guys, including Jeff May, had a chance of winning this race, Jason.
He was doing it without electronics. How are you able to keep up on a very technical track all by yourself?
Back in my day, I'm old. We didn't have traction control, so I'm actually more comfortable riding this thing sideways and wheelie it using the rear brake. And It takes a little more effort. It's a little tiring on the body, but man, I'm having fun out there. I got to thank Vision Wheel for putting me on this Honda CBR 1000 RRR SP, whatever it is, and also KWS Motorsports, Mike Godin for building it, prepping it. Without these guys, I wouldn't be out here. And last but definitely not least, I want to thank Jesus Christ for giving me the faith to get back on a motorcycle, keep throwing my leg over it. I'm getting older, but man, I got all the faith in the world. I can go out there and do what I need to do.
All right, experience beating traction control out there with a third place for Jeff May.
And Roger, let's talk about that because he was having issues with the traction control and used up his tire. Looks like he maybe didn't have it set, but at least he knew what he had going in.
And it looked like, as we discussed during the race, like, you know, he wasn't going to try to push it as hard early laps like he did at Atlanta to try to make sure he could be there at the end, and he was. He was within 1.8 seconds of the winner.
Yeah, first margin of victory, less than a second, a second between second and third as well. So Jake Lewis proved to be the fastest today. Take a look at this start. Jake with a good run, but Corey Alexander was trying to set that tone after that little bitty wheelie. That's a lot of horsepower in those thousands.
And Corey really set a hot pace right away. Tried to, as he mentioned, he tried to break away. He actually did kind of get a little bit of a gap, but Jake Lewis and Jeff May just kind of slowly worked their way back up to him.
See some moves to the inside, the outside. Jeff May kept running inside. Jake Lewis eventually does make a pass to the inside, and Jake Lewis sets up here on Corey Alexander. And not only does he take position, he holds it. He kind of blocks that line. He says, you're not getting by me now.
And after that, you could see he kind of put his head down, kind of lowered the pace a little bit more than they were running at those laps, and got a nice second lead. And at that point, you know, he could be super aggressive in the lappers, but he didn't have to take too many chances.
Takes his first win in what he figures is 4 years, 2017. Through all the hardships, nothing's better than racing and winning. Racing's one thing, winning's a different story, and he did everything he could do this weekend.
First race of the day, Stop 1000. Coming up next, Super Sport.
A new podium there with, they'll throw graphics up there throughout the day. Speaking of, let's take a look at the points. And Travis Wyman still your leader, but by the slimmest of margins. I felt it was going to be close. I didn't know it was going to be that close. 1 point over Jake the Snake.
And the top five all within 10 points.
It's going to be good. And Corey Alexander, you know, great job. Second place, gaining points. Now he's inside 20, only 19 down. And there's still tomorrow. You can leave here respectable. Who knows? You might. The way that the parity in this class, you could have a single point disadvantage, you know, going into the next
easily
round.
Tomorrow, if he wins the race and, you know, how competitive the class is, Travis and Jake don't do as well, he can get it back down to the single digits.
They always say, you know, it's a cliche, but it's the truth. Consistency wins championship, and you need to be up in that front and stay up there near that front. But right now, Travis Wyman with 52 points, a 1 point advantage and a 4 point advantage over Jake Lewis and Michael Gilbert, respectively. So even though Michael Gilbert, you know, finishes in fourth place, he's third in championship points and only 4 points behind. That's got to be a win for him as well.
And for him, he's going to be doing the whole season. His goal is the championship, and you know, it just looked like he didn't have it toward the end of the race, and he just brought it home in fourth and collected the points.
Feel bad for Hunter Dunham. Looked like he was improving on his grid spot and worked his way up, and he's going to drop even further after going down here in the first race of two at Virginia International Raceway. We're about an hour and a half north of Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, just at the North Carolina-Virginia border. We've got 4 more races to go. Next up will be the Super Sport. It's going to be a good one today, a hot one today. We're glad you're here on MotoAmerica Live Plus. Stick with us.